ignore.
Yesterday, the Second High Court threw out the election petition case against the NDC Member of Parliament for Jomoro constituency, Dorcas Affo-Toffe. And so the court was presided over by Justice Dr. Richmond Osei-Were. He said that the NDC MP was eligible at the time she contested the 2020 parliamentary election as she renounced her Ivorian citizenship. And of course, her lawyer is seated here. I'm sure he'll tell us about it, which is why I said congratulations this morning when I was introducing him. Must feel very good at the moment, knowing that you won this case. Tell us a bit about it.
Okay, so Bella, good morning. And good morning to my brother, Mohammed. We've had an interesting encounter in the year 2020.
Yes.
I was then defending a matter involving Zabzgu constituency at the Tamale High Court. And so he comes to represent MPP. And so we've kept that relationship till now. Okay. And congratulations on your appointment as Deputy General Secretary.
Thank you.
But as you are aware, after the 2020 election, the then Deputy Minister for Culture, Polician, had contested my client.
Yeah.
And my client had won the election by over 5,000 votes difference. Subsequently, we were fixed with this petition that there was a time that she was an Ivorian, American, and Ghanaian.
Yeah.
And so she owes allegiance to a country other than Ghana. So basically, that was the complaint against her.
Okay.
And so we also defended the matter and indicated to the court that it could not be the case because once she was never an American citizen, what happened was that the petitioner saw her green card and thought that that was an American, citizenship.
Oh, okay.
So, and when the case itself commenced, they abandoned the American and were focused more on the Ivorian aspects. So we went through the full trial. We had the benefit of bringing in an expert witness. I personally went to Ivory Coast.
Oh, okay. So you brought in...
Yes, because of the nature of the case.
Okay.
Because the principle of law usually is that once you are referencing a foreign law, okay, that foreign law becomes a factual matter.
Okay.
And because it's a factual matter, you need somebody to lead evidence in relation to that fact. You see, like the adversarial system we have, when the thing is a fact in dispute, then you have to prove it. If the fact is admitted, you don't prove it.
Okay.
So in this case, we had said we have done a renunciation process in 2019. And so these processes led us to lose this, and then the petitioner denies it. So it becomes a fact in issue.
Okay.
It's a disputable fact. So one person must prove.
I see. Which is why you...
At that time, the burden was on us to prove. So she testified, and then I brought in an expert lawyer from Ivory Coast as well. Okay. So this lawyer from Ivory Coast then came to testify in relation to Ivorian law. The fact that I'm a lawyer in Ghana does not mean that I know the law in Ivory Coast. Okay. The judge, too, is neutral. Okay. It is not the responsibility of the judge to go out there looking for laws, no. So in this case, whereas we went to Ivory Coast to bring, the petitioner never brought in. He only testified for himself. Okay. So if you read the judgment, you notice that when I cross-examined him, I asked him a very simple question. And the question was whether he will agree with me that he's not an expert in Ivorian law. And he said yes. Okay. And so once he was not an expert, it means that everything that he'll be saying may just be based on what somebody might have told him.
I see.
And then I went in. And so if you read the judgment, the judge actually made copious reference to those gaps that were left in the case of the petitioner.
I see.
That for him as a judge, he was left with only the testimony of the Ivorian expert witness.
Okay, okay, okay.
If there was if they had brought in their own expert witness, then there would have been two,
so,
you know.
So per the Ivorian law, once you
so what we did in our defense,
you decide to belong to one other country,
so
automatically you lose your citizenship?
don't admit dual nationals.
Yeah, okay.
Unlike we do. Per our Citizenship Act, you can be a dual national, except that there are certain positions that you cannot hold. One of them is the president, member of parliament. Professor Azar and co, contesting that particular position. You know, Bella, it's strange that if you have an American child, there's a high possibility that your child will become the president of America than becoming the president of Ghana. Like Obama, whose father left Kenya to go and study in Harvard. He became president of the United States of America. But it would be difficult, assuming the reverse, for your child to become president of this republic unless he takes certain steps. So eventually that is why we went through, and the court basically agreed with us, because you see, we pleaded specifically Section 48 or the Article 48 of the Ivorian Nationality Code.
All right.
And it says that once you take steps to adopt the nationality of another country other than Ivory Coast, automatically you forfeit the Ivorian nationality.
I see.
So
interesting.
the lawyer came, testified, and incidentally, the lawyers for the petitioner subjected him to over 1 hour cross-examination. Over an hour cross-examination on what the Ivorian position of the law is. And if you read the judgment, the judge made the point that it is not for a lawyer here, the lawyer for the petitioner, to prove those facts. He cannot testify.
It is for a lawyer from Ivory Coast, and you brought in that.
So,
well, she continues to hold herself as MP for Jomoro constituency, and so no, NDC has not
in
lost
all of this, I want to thank the court graciously for what has happened, and the Almighty God. And one more important person, H. John Dramani Mahama. In fact, he basically financed everything, and he was deep into this conversation. I appreciate the help and honorable